Back again with another video reaction. My name is Josh. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you click the thumbnail, you might be a fan of The Critical Drinker, or you may be new to him. Critical Drinker is a channel that I've watched not for a super long time, probably the last 6 months or so, but he's a dude that does some reviews and some commentary on different topics that come up, but my views just happen to align with his most of the time, I would say, for sure. But really, it's because he utilizes a lot of common sense in things and just kind of speaks his mind. And he's not really afraid to offend people. I tried reacting to one of his more recent videos, and you guys did really actually enjoy me reacting to that. So I figured we'd go ahead and get some more because I do enjoy watching his videos. Very clever, awesome editing, and he's got a good bit of commentary in there, like I said, that I do tend to agree with for the most part. But the one that's coming up now is a very interesting one, and it's one that honestly I shouldn't care about, because I'm definitely not the target demographic for the movie that's coming out. But at the same time, social media, and take it as it is, that, you know, some things that are pushed out there may be factual, some maybe not factual, but there seems to be an overwhelming amount of evidence that the new Snow White that Disney is putting out, the live action one, might and should possibly be a train wreck. Chuck agrees with me too. If you're unfamiliar, Disney is putting out, or they're in the process of making, a Snow White live-action adaptation, and if I'm not mistaken as well, I believe Snow White is like Disney's first real big animation, or their first animation. You know, it's like the classic of classics. If you're also unaware, they are basically taking that and turning it into something completely different to be completely politically correct, and it's like there's not even dwarfs in it. It's not Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's Snow White and the Seven mythical creatures or magical creatures, something like that. I've seen some pictures. It was very off-putting, to say the least. Then you actually have the lead actress. I forget her name, but she's been in a couple other movies. I don't really know that I've seen her in much, and she just seems to really not like the original movie or the story about it, and just has talked trash about that, and has come off very pompousy and very, I don't know how to say it except for not necessarily man-hating, but definitely no need for men in these type of movies, I guess, and no need for love, even though it is a love story. So my biggest take on all of this, and ultimately it is, if you're changing all of that, why don't you just make it a new movie? I mean, literally, you don't, I know you have the IP of Snow White and it's a big name, but if you're going to change everything about it, why don't you just call it something else and not try and piss off all the fans of the original movie? But, you know, that really hasn't stopped them in the past, because they've made some kind of garbo movies recently. But I'm very curious to see what The Critical Drinker has to say about it, and I'm also not super up to date on anything that's happening with the actual movie, but this one's A Tale of Two Snow Whites. I don't know what that means, but let's go ahead and check it out. All right, let's get it.
One of the simplest rules of business is that if you don't give your customers what they want, then sooner or later someone else will. And that, my friend, is when you go out of business. Such is the case with Snow White and the Seven Diverse Non-Specific Vertically Challenged Creatures, a movie that somehow managed to combine all the worst aspects of modern movie making with an actress who embodies all the worst aspects of modern actors.
Weird. It's no longer 1937. All of Andrew scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
And believe me, that's saying something.
Nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie.
What?
In short, it was giving fans of the classic fairy tale, or even the 1937 animated movie, the exact opposite of what they wanted. And the result has been an audience backlash on a scale never before seen. Even The Little Mermaid never came close to the thermonuclear level of hatred that engulfed Snow White. But, like I say, for every failing company that's too stupid or too arrogant to give their customers what they actually want, there's another up-and-coming hopeful waiting to swoop in and take the crown. And in this case, it's the Daily Wire, a conservative media outlet that started dabbling in film and TV production over the past couple of years. And while they haven't exactly rocked the world of entertainment to its core, movies like Run, Hide, Fight and Shuts In proved that they can make relatively decent films on a fraction of the cost of Hollywood's. And the other day, they dropped their first teaser trailer for Snow White and the Evil Queen, something that I honestly thought was a piss take at first. But nope, it's a legit movie that's actually getting made and released next next year under their kids' production company Bentkey, starring Brett Cooper as Snow White, which confused the hell out of me because I always assumed that Brett Cooper was a man. And damn man, right off the bat you can tell they're happily taking pot shots at Disney with this one. The reveal of Cooper as Snow White is left until the final seconds of the teaser, and it's played with such a triumphant flourish that it might as well be accompanied by the caption, "See, this is how it's supposed to be done." I mean, clearly the whole thing was slapped together pretty quickly to take advantage of the momentum around Snow White, probably on a small budget, so it looks more like a skit from SNL than a major Hollywood movie. Then again, based on the pictures we've seen from the set, the Disney version doesn't exactly justify its $200 million price tag either, so who the hell knows? You can tell that they've gone out of their way not to put a modern spin on the classic story, not to subvert the audience's expectations, and not to use the movie as an excuse to insert 21st century Californian ideology into a story written hundreds of years ago. And whether or not you agree with that idea, one thing you can't deny is that there's definitely a market for films like this, a growing market that's become increasingly alienated from modern entertainment and want nothing more complicated than to forget their troubles and lose themselves in a bit of escapism for an hour or two. Not much to ask, really, but it's something that Hollywood's been increasingly reluctant to give. You know, it's actually a pretty damning indictment of where we are as a culture that a movie that dares to just tell a conventionally heroic story that's faithful to the source material is now considered some crazy revolutionary outlier, but there you go. Truly, we live in clown worlds. The same principle of being humble and respectful to the source material even filters through to the main actress when she was speaking about her role. Quote, "I was raised on the original Grimm's fairy tales, so I'm thrilled that we're bringing this iconic story to life for the next generation. Snow White is such a beautiful character, and I'm honoured to be playing her. Like all the best fairy tales, this is a story with timeless values like love, friendship, and kindness, and I can't wait to share them." Now, do me a favour and compare this for a moment to Rachel Zegler's interpretation of the character and her attitude to the original animated movie.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated. We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. She's not going to be safe with a prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her. Women being in roles of power.
Bit of a difference there, isn't there? Tell me, which actress do you find yourself rooting for more? Now ultimately, I've got no idea at this stage whether Snow White and the Evil Queen will be any good or not. It could just as easily turn out to be a steaming pile of dog shit, no matter the good intentions behind it. The difference though is that unlike the Disney version, I actually want this one to succeed, partly because I think it's being made with exactly the kind of attitude that's sorely lacking in Hollywood today, and partly because the anarchist in me wants to see the absolute meltdown that'll engulf the mainstream media if this film somehow outperforms Disney's excretion. I mean, let's be honest, it totally isn't going to, but it's funny to think about all the same. It really feels like a classic case of a scrappy underdog taking on a bigger, overconfident opponent. Either way, the simple existence of this movie and the attention it's getting proves the point that I made at the start, that if you go long enough without giving your customer what they want, then eventually someone else is going to step in and do it for you. They might not succeed immediately, but the simple fact that they tried it will inevitably encourage others to do the same. And well, sooner or later you might just find that those customers you took for granted have taken their business elsewhere. And at the end of the day, you've got no one to blame but yourself.
It's Hollywood, baby.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Go away now. Alright, so that was Critical Drinker talking about the Tale of Two Snow Whites, and honestly, I didn't even really know there was another Snow White coming out, but now that he's talking about it, I think I actually have seen some headlines. I kind of just assumed they were talking about the other Snow White, because I've seen so many, as he discussed in this video, that were very negative, though. So this is such an interesting thing, and I think he just hits it nail on the head. Again, I honestly don't have much investment in a Snow White movie. I'm not the demographic for it. That's not the ones that I'm really pining to go see. Although, under the same umbrella of Disney, you have Marvel, which I am part of the demographic because I'm also part of the people that made that thing so successful because I was the one waiting in line buying tickets months early to go see these movies as they came out. And then they started to change how they made them and what they were doing with them and the stories, and really kind of neglecting what it seemed like the viewers wanted and also got them to where they were. Kind of like he was talking about in this one. It's like once you really ignore your audience, you have credit built up for so long. I mean, Marvel did. Like, I definitely believed in Marvel for a long time. Even after Endgame, like the first couple movies that came out, I was like, I'm going to give them, of course these are going to be good. I'm going to go watch these. And I was watching them. I was like, that wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad. And then I'd find them either not rewatching them or I'm thinking about them and then I rewatch them and I'm like, ugh, this could have been a little better if they'd done some other things or different topics or different characters. But they seem pretty dead set on just doing what they're doing. And even as all the profits seemingly, trajectory of all the different box office just goes down and down and down and down, they just keep making the same thing and same thing and same thing. And like, no, this is what people want, even though they're not paying for it. And that's what I really do appreciate about this, and what the Critical Drinker is talking about is at least there's some competition. Because when you think about it, you have Disney that it just owns basically everything. I mean, from Star Wars, Marvel, you have all the Disney different properties. I'm pretty sure Pixar. I mean, like everything. Where are you supposed to go to get your good media? The things you want to see. I mean, that's something that YouTube is really good for, because there's a lot of different things out there. You can find pretty much whatever you want to. But I do hope that this is at least causing some pause and some moments for Disney or some other big corporations to really think outside of their own bubble, because I've thought about it a good deal and I'm like, why would they continue to make these movies where it seems like that's not what the majority of their viewers really want? And I do think that the people or the executives or the celebrities or everybody that's making these movies or making these decisions, they're no different than the normal people, right? Like, we operate within our own little bubbles, and I think that they do too, but their bubbles tell them that this is exactly what everybody wants or should want, is all the woke stuff that's in there. And it just really seems like that's overdone for the average person that's actually the movie-going audience. And it's taken some time, but I'm confident and hopeful. Okay, maybe less confident, but I'm hopeful that there is actually some change going. I know I did read that Marvel was doing a whole bunch. I think Bob Iger came back in. He was the guy that really got Marvel where it was and then stepped away. And they kind of went in a different direction. Now he's back and he's kind of cleaning house a little bit and resetting some things. Not as much volume, a little more quality. Hopefully. So hopefully things are turning to the right direction. But I just have to echo the Critical Drinker's statements, and I think he's spot on. And again, his videos are awesome. His editing is so good. His writing, he's very, very clever. It's just very entertaining to watch, very poignant, and hilarious at the same time. I don't know, let me know what you guys think, and let me know what you think of that new Snow White movie. Is that something that you're interested in? I mean, I might see it just to support it, just so that there is more independent or more potential for different people to make different types of movies, not just the one thing that they want us to watch. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Go to that subscribe button if you would. That'd be fantastic. And as always, you're awesome. Peace out.